If a person sins in hearing the utterance of an oath, and is a witness, whether he has seen or known of the matter, if he does not tell it, he bears guilt. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share together Leviticus chapter 5. This chapter deals with the trespass offering. We've had the burnt offering, the grain offering, the peace offering, and the sin offering, a whole series of procedures that God put in place where the people of God could draw near to God in worship, in fellowship, for reconciliation when they had sinned. And in chapter 5 we come to another class of sin which might be considered a trespass. The idea of a trespass is that you cross a boundary that you should not cross, and by crossing that boundary you become defiled or you're guilty in some way. It's probably not as serious as the matters raised by the sin offering, but nevertheless there is an offence, and reconciliation and forgiveness is required. Cleansing is required. So let's read what is said concerning the trespass offering. If a person sins in hearing the utterance of an oath, and is a witness, whether he has seen or known of the matter, if he does not tell it, he bears guilt. Or if a person touches an unclean thing, whether it is the carcass of an unclean beast, or the carcass of unclean livestock, or the carcass of unclean creeping things, and he is unaware of it, he also shall be unclean and guilty. Or if a person touches human uncleanness, whatever uncleanness with which a man may be defiled, and he is unaware of it, when he realizes it, then he shall be guilty. Or if a person swears, speaking thoughtlessly with his lips, to do evil or to do good, whatever it is that a man may pronounce by an oath, and he is unaware of it, when he realizes it, then he shall be guilty in any of these matters. And it shall be, when he is guilty in any of these matters, that he shall confess that he has sinned in that thing, and he shall bring his trespass offering to the Lord for his sin which he has committed, a female from the flock, a lamb or a kid of the goats, as a sin offering. So the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin. If he is not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring to the Lord for his trespass which he has committed 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, one as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering. And he shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer that which is for the sin offering first, and wring off its head with its neck, but shall not divide it completely. Then he shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. And he shall offer the second as a burnt offering according to the prescribed manner. So the priest shall make atonement on his behalf for his sin which he has committed, and it shall be forgiven him. But if he is not able to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he who sins shall bring for his offering 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a sin offering. He shall put no oil on it, nor shall he put frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. Then he shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take the handful of it as a memorial portion, and burn it on the altar according to the offerings made by fire to the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for him for his sin that he has committed in any of these matters, and it shall be forgiven him. The rest shall be the priest's as a grain offering. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, If a person commits a trespass and sins unintentionally in regard to the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring to the Lord as his trespass offering a ram without blemish from the flocks, with your valuation in shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, as a trespass offering. And he shall make restitution for the harm that he has done in regard to the holy things, and shall add 1/5 to it, and give it to the priest. So the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. If a person sins and commits any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he does not know it, yet he is guilty, and shall bear his iniquity. And he shall bring to the priest a ram without blemish from the flock, with your valuation, as a trespass offering. So the priest shall make atonement for him regarding his ignorance in which he erred, and did not know it, and it shall be forgiven him. It is a trespass offering. He has certainly transgressed against the Lord. And may the Lord bless his word to us. So here we have again unwitting actions that we perform that break some of the regulations that God has put in place. In a game of football, as the winger carries the ball up the sideline, if he puts his foot over the boundary, then the game stops. It has to be restarted. In the game of tennis, the player who does a brilliant serve, but it falls outside of the square, the game stops. So it is with a trespass against God's law. God has set the boundaries of our behaviour, and no matter how hard we are trying, we will sometimes step over the boundary. That's not to say that we shouldn't be trying. We're doing our best for God. For God has made provision for what to do when you cross the boundary. And that's what this chapter is about. The trespass offering. How to restart the game. Even though we may not know it or may not have done it consciously, there is still guilt attached. Now that we understand a little bit about bacteria, we can understand that you can be defiled by touching something, even though it looks clean, and catch disease. Even by being in the presence of those who are sick, you can catch the disease that they have. Now, you cannot see the defilement, you cannot hear the defilement, and you do not immediately sense the defilement, but defilement takes place. So there is physical defilement. There, of course, is also mental or spiritual defilement. The chapter began with a person hearing an utterance that if there are any witnesses, they should come forward and bear witness to what they have seen. So a person may be charged with an offence. And if you are a witness to those things, then you must bring your information to the court, that the right judgment be made. Because the requirement for judgment of a guilty person is that there be 2 witnesses to the offence. So the whole judicial system depends on witnesses declaring what they know. And if a person refuses to bear witness, then he shares that guilt as an accessory after the fact. So there's touching unclean things, human waste or dead bodies. These things we understand bring physical defilement. And our spirits can be defiled by things that we see or hear. So we need to be careful about that as well. But there's also defilement by the words that we speak. God holds us accountable for the words that we speak. There is guilt associated with the holy things. God had made rules that maintain his honour, and a person may break some of those rules, which are contained in the scripture for us. Now, where restitution can be made, then restitution must be made. And usually there is a 20% penalty added to the restitution. As well as offering the sin offering, you must make restitution for it. For the sin offering restores our relationship with God, but does not remove the obligation to make recompense where there are victims to the offence. This is where the sin offering is applied. Provision is made for the poor, that if they cannot bring the animal, they can bring 2 birds, and if they cannot bring the birds, they can bring a grain offering without oil. And the promise is made that they will be forgiven when they have confessed the matter and dealt with the matter according to these regulations. For God is a God of forgiveness. when we confess our sin.